Hi everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel Zero Analyst. This is the project 2 of our Power BI project series. Now the project that you have seen, we're going to build this project completely from scratch, and I'm going to give you all the resources that I have used in this project, including the icon, datasets, color, design, layout, each and everything. So go ahead and download the resources from the video descriptions and let's begin the video. This is the dataset you may have downloaded from the video description. So let's go ahead and explore the dataset. Then we're going to see how to create amazing dashboard, something like this, right? So if you want to see the total count, that is seems like 5001 what we have, and the first one is the header, so 5000 rows what we have, the total calls. If you want to see all the agents, so this is the agents. By the way, this is a call center data set, so which has information regarding the calls information that is receiving by one of the call centers, right? So when you are, let's say, calling into one of the call centers, maybe any XYZ call centers for some help regarding maybe your banking issues or anything else, so there are maybe some agents who receive your call, right? So they also have some parameters. So it's all about a call center data set, right? So in this video, you're going to explore the domain of call centers and understand how to kind of create KPI regarding call centers and what are the important parameters, right? Again, in every project you need to learn something new, right? In this project you're going to learn how to identify the KPI for call center data set, right? So we do have this different agents, right? Now you may want to know each agents and how many calls they are receiving in each day, right? Each agents, how much time they're spending in each calls, right? Something like this, right? So we have the date here. So this data set is which is of 2021, so it is kind of 3 to 4 years old data. We do have the time when they are receiving the calls, right? We do have the topic of the calls. If you see, it is very important to understand the data first before jumping to create the dashboard, right? So even if you are creating the dashboard using this data set, still you need to spend some time to understand the data. Then you can come up with your own design, right? So for this, you can use my layout, my design, it's really okay. But for the next project, try to understand the data, explore some time with the data and see each and every columns and their importance. Then you can come up with a different design. Then you can choose the colors and layout, icons, and then that's how you start creating the dashboard, right? So if you see, we do have the different topics, like regarding what topic they are calling, right? So if you see, we do have some of the people they are calling regarding the contract related issue, some of the people calling regarding payment related issue, technical issues, and the streaming issues. So a lot of different problems are there, right? Let's go ahead and see the answer Y and N. So this answer Y and N means if the call was received or it was not received. So where you see N, it means the call was not received. Maybe all the agents were busy, right? Nobody received that call, right? When you see Y, that means the call was received. Okay. So if you see, this is something called resolve. And if you see Y, that means the issue was resolved. If you see N, that means the issue was not resolved, because again, the call was not received. So the issue was not resolved, right? So if you see here, you will be able to identify like how many N is there. So that means for those, the issue was not resolved, right? If you want to see here, which is called speed of answer in seconds. So when you call somebody in the call centers, sometimes they take some time for your call to be answered, right? Because maybe all the agents are busy. So that is called waiting time, right? So this is what it is. It says speed of answer in seconds. So basically how much time each agent is taking before receiving a call, right? Maybe their rest time before going into the next call. So something like this, right? So here if you see, wherever we have blanks, right? So that means obviously this call was not answered. So that's the reason we do not have speed of answer here. So wherever the call was answered, that's where we have this speed of answers. Okay. Now if you want to see which is called average talk duration, so here again we do not have any average talk durations. I think this column is going to be the talk duration. So I'm just going to correct it, which is called talk durations. Okay, because this cannot be average talk duration. Each call is kind of the talk durations, right? If you see, this is a single call, this is a different call, because here you have the call ID, right? Anyways, let's go ahead and see the satisfactions rating. So this is a rating that is given by the customers after the issue was resolved or not resolved, right? So if you see here 3, again the issues mentioned as a result and the rating is given as a 3. We have 2, we have 3, we have 2, 4, and we have, I guess, maximum is the rating is the 5. So for few of the issues we do have null. So that means this is where the issue was not resolved and the call was not answered. So basically we have not served these customers, right? Based on this data set, we're going to create the project. Now you can get the data set from the video descriptions, as I have mentioned earlier. and let's go ahead and see what are the things you will be able to download from the link, right? You'll be able to download all the icon that I have used in this project. If you see here, just call it speed of calls and all the different icons I have mentioned here. Also, I have given the logo which you can use in this project, and you can include this project in your resume as well. It's a kind of completely licensed dataset which you can use in your projects, and a dashboard screenshot which is of my design which I have given here. And I have also given the color plates and the design and the size, each and everything. You can download it here. Also, I am going to give you the template, which is the background template, which is this file you can download, and you can start using this file instead of creating by yourself, which is going to take some more time. But if it is for you, if it's the first project, then you can spend some time and design the layout. I have given the size, each and everything here. Okay, so let's go ahead and start the video. I hope you have already downloaded the datasets, and I will just open my Windows files, and we are going to start from scratch. And in this video, I'm also going to show you how you can publish this project to public. Let's open this template, which I am going to include it, which you can download from the video descriptions. Okay, so this is a pbix file, so that means you can directly open once you download it inside the Power BI. So just double click and it is going to open. And the good thing is that I have spent more than like 4 to 5 hours designing this template, and selecting these colors, icons, each and everything. It takes a really long time, and again, I'm going to give you everything for free, as I mentioned. And if you want to design by yourself, again, I'm going to show you 1 or 2 examples how you can design something like this. Okay, it's a very simple design. I have simply used some shape here, and if you see, these are the shape, and I have added some backgrounds with these colors, which is as a shadow, right? So this is our main theme colors. And how do we select the colors is as well? Again, try to keep it as simple as possible. Most of the time I see if in case we have any colors in the logo, so I try to pick any colors from the logo. So here I have picked this colors, which is called darker red, from the logo. Now for this colors, I have also given you the color code, which you can check, which is going to be this one. If you just open this color code, so this is called C2185B. So this is our one of the logo colors, and we're only going to use one colors and one darker colors, which is going to be 1F, 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 right? This is one of my favorite color which I use in every project. So let me go ahead and hide my face, and let's start building the project from scratch, so you can focus on the concept. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's start, right? So all this icon, you can again download it from, there's a website which is called Icon 8, right? You can go to this website which is called Icon 8, and from here you can download all the icons, though I have included all the icon for this project. Now if you want to download any icons, so just type as a call center. Okay, and you will be able to see like pretty much every icon that I have used in this project. So you can download it from here as well. And mostly I refer this site which is called icon8.com, and from this site I usually download the icon. It's a free site, right? So let's go and let me show you, if in case you want to create same shape, how you can create it. You can go to a new page, and you can simply go ahead and create it here. Okay, so first of all, you can go to insert, and you can go to shape, and here you can just select a shape and keep it in the corners. Okay, and let's say I want to keep it something like this. Okay, and if you see, by default it is selecting the colors. The reason is that I have set my colors from this view and from this theme, right? So you can go to view and themes, click this icon, and click this which is called customize theme, and from here just change the main colors and this colors. Okay, so this colors I have changed as a C2185B, and this one which is as a 1F, 1F, 1F. So set this colors. If you want to set it, just write the code here. If you see different colors, so write the code here, and your color is going to be set, right? So now this is done. So you can see we have created a shape. Right now what you need to do is that we want to create a shadow. So go to this shape from here. So you have this panel where you have this format. Okay, so you can format pretty much everything from here. Okay, so first of all, we want to change the background colors. So you can go to general and go to which is called here effect, not effect. So click outside first, then go to this which is called format pen, and from here go to wallpaper and this colors, and change the background to 10% darker. Okay, so this is fine. Now select this which is this one, and you can go to shape, and you can just add a shadow. Okay, so let's go ahead and remove the borders and add a shadow. Okay, so you can see we have added a shadow, and now we can just keep this corner as a round. So just select it again, go to shape, and change it to kind of 15% round. Okay, so if you see right now, it is looking same as like what we have it here. Okay, so pretty much same. Then we would just need to keep more create some more kind of this shape like for this as well. And again, it's simple, very easy. If you want, I can show you again. So I would just say Control C, Control V, and I can just make some more shape, which is going to be something like this. But here I'm just going to change my main colors. Instead of keeping light, which is called red, I would change it to kind of maybe 100% white. So I can say style to 100% white. Okay, now I would just change the background colors of the shadow. So shadow colors to kind of our default colors, which is going to be this one, red. Okay, so if you see, our shape is ready. Okay, so you would just need to create some more. Control C, Control B, Control C, Control B. Okay, and I have already given the size, so make sure that the five shape should fit this entire width, right, that you have it here. And then I would just have it one more here to kind of change this. Okay, so here I would just say the shape is going to be kind of corner is going to be 0. Okay, so I don't know, I don't need a shadow here, so I'm just going to kind of select this and go to style, remove the shadow, and then I can kind of click create more a shape. Okay, so just to add a kind of design, something like this. Okay, so again, so you need to just spend some more time, you will be coming up with the perfect design, something like this, which I have shown you. So again, here I can just click more shadow. This background colors I can change it to a little bit of darker. So, okay, so I hope you got the idea how to create this design. You just need to spend some time, you will be coming up with a perfect design, which I have mentioned. And just for your reference, I have also given the exact size of each the shape I have used. Okay, you can see this is the shape, which is 250, 550, 147, 219, and each of this shape I have mentioned here. Okay, even the color code as well, which you can download from the projects. You can also directly download from this template backgrounds. Okay, so let's go ahead and start here. Okay, so we are going to start here, and I have also added an intro page. So as soon as we click the intro page, it is going to load this dashboard, which is going to be our dashboard, right? So this is our dashboard. So let's click a duplicate. I'm just going to keep a duplicate for this background, and this one I'm just going to name it as a dashboard. Okay, so let's go ahead and say name as a dashboard. So let's go ahead and see the datasets. I have already downloaded the datasets. For you, you can go ahead and download the datasets again. So let's go ahead and open this, which is called PwC call center datasets, and let's open in Excel file. So what I've done here is that if you see, I have kind of changed this, which is all the title to small letters. If you want the capital, you can keep it, but I'm going to give you these datasets where you have all the title as a small letter, like the column name, right? So let's go ahead and first, which is called import this data. It's a CSV file, and then we're going to start building the dashboard. We are going to start creating the kind of the dashboard with the different KPI, right? Now first, again, here I have spent some time to identify the data sets to come up with my understanding, you can say, and the thought process, and like the different KPI. Like every business may have a different KPI. Let's say if you talk about the sales, they may have a return KPI, they may have a kind of customer satisfaction KPI, they may have a total revenue, total profit. This would be kind of more important KPI, like the total orders, total unit quantity, right? When you talk about maybe the call centers, it's going to be like how many calls they are receiving it, what is the average durations of each calls, right? That could be one of the KPI. What is the customer satisfaction, because the customer satisfactions play a very important role in call centers. So this is one of the KPI. So again, for different business domain, you can do some research, you would be coming up with the different KPI, right? So for this projects, I have done my research, and I have come up with the 5 important KPI which we're going to use in this project. Even if you do not have any idea, trust me, you will be able to kind of build this with me. So let's start, and I'm going to kind of make it more easy, I would say, as much as it is possible, right? So here we're going to add one of the parameters which is going to show us the last call received. What is the last call received? Is it like today at 5 p.m., or it was kind of 5 days back, it was 1 year back? Okay, so this function is going to show us the last call that we have received in the call centers. Okay, so this is how we know, okay, when the dashboard was updated, something like this. Okay, all this icon you can find pretty much free in Google or icon.8, which is the site I have shown earlier. Okay, so this is going to make the dashboard look really interesting, and keep as less as color as possible, maybe 1 or 2 colors. I'm only going to keep one colors here and just the darker one. Okay, let's go, and this is the shape. This shape looks really interesting because we have a kind of shadow, and this match the theme color of this project, right? So let's go, and first let's go ahead and import the data set, right? That's the main task, right? So right now we have the intro page, we have the dashboard, we have this, which is I have shown you earlier. I'm just going to delete it, it's an unwanted page. And we have this duplicate just for the, I can say backup. I have just created a duplicate of this background templates. Okay, let's go, and let's go to the data, and let's go ahead and import the data now, right? So again, you can go here and go to home, and let's go ahead and say what I want to do is that get data. Okay, and before that I would want you to kind of change two settings. Okay, let's go to the file, and let's go to, which is called, first of all, which is called options and settings, and go to options. And from here, as this data set is for US, we would change this dataset settings to US. Okay, so go to this regional settings, change it English United States, and this also unique English United States, and go to here also, change it to English United States. These three settings you just need to change, and that's it. Okay, so it is going to work pretty much fine after that. Okay, now let's go ahead and get the data. Click on this get data, and we're going to get the data wherever you have saved the data. It's a CSV file. We're going to select text and CSV. We will say connect, and the data is pretty much clean, but still we will ensure that some of the parameters that is kind of use. I would say PwC call center data. I'm just going to select this Excel file, click on open. So it is going to load the data into Power Query. Then we're going to do little bit of transformations, and not too much, but very simple transformations. We're going to say transform. If I say load, it's directly going to load the data into the model, which we do not want. So we're going to say transform data. So here, if you see, the data is loaded to Power Query, and right now we will be cleaning the data a little bit. So let's first see how many counts of rows it is imported. So go to count from the transform. You can see the count is showing 5000, which is perfect because we have 5000, and the header is already selected, so we do not have to do anything. Just select this call ID, and go to home, go to the skip rows, and say that remove duplicates, right? So duplicate is being removed, and I think everything else is fine. Let's go ahead and check if in case we have any nulls in this, which is called agent's name. So seems like there is no null. Let's go ahead and check if in case we have any nulls here. So here is also seems like no null. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and check if in case we have any nulls here. So I don't think we have any null, but again you can check, right? So seems no null, and ensure that all the data type is correct. It's a text data, so if you see ABC, it's ABC, it's a date, which is perfect, and this is the time because it's a time data. So ensure that it is in the correct shape. If in case you don't see the right data, so go to transform and change to the correct data type, right, which is a time. We have the topic, we have the answer yes or no, we have the result, and we have the speed in speed answers in seconds, and we have the average talk durations. So these columns I'm just going to change it to call talk durations. Okay, talk duration. So this is the column name I have given, and I think I just want to give it, yeah, this is fine. I would just say something called talk space durations. Okay, and satisfactions rating is fine. Okay, which is I have it here. Okay, so pretty much everything that I need I have it here. Okay, so I would just create one more column, which is combining date and time. Okay, I will tell you the reason why I need a column which is combining date and time. So let's go ahead and first go to add columns, and which is called custom columns. We're going to simply use called date time. Okay, so you're going to say date time, and we're going to simply use, which is called first the date, which is going to be this. Okay, and then we're going to say plus. Okay, you can not use the plus, but I can use, which is called this, and I'm going to say, which is called time. Okay, date time, and let's see if in case it is correctly showing. So yeah, it is correctly showing, and the time is also correctly showing. Let's check 912 912 58 58. Yeah, perfect. So let's see if this is showing as a datetime data or not. So right now it is showing as a any. We are going to change it to date, time and time zones. Okay, so this is perfect. Okay, so we do have the date, time and the time zones. I think I don't need the time zone, but again we can just change it to date time. Okay, replace the current one. Cool. So we just need the date time, which is perfectly fine, and still just ensure that it is still showing the same date and the same time, right? Because otherwise it is going to give you error later on. Okay, so let's go ahead and load the data, and rest of the things we're going to do in the data model and maybe while creating the projects, right? So I would say home. What I've only done, just created one column which is called date time and change the data types. Okay, so we will say close and apply. So it's going to load the data. I think I did not change the table name. Instead of keeping it long data set, something like this call centers, I'm going to just keep it a very simple name. Okay, let's go to transform and change the table name from there. Okay, so I will go to transform and select this, change the table name to calls. Okay, so perfect. Let's go ahead and load it now, and all the things that we wanted is done. You can go to tables, and you will see that the data is loaded here. Okay, so we have the data which is loaded perfectly fine. I need one table here where I will be creating all the measures for this projects. Now measures are basically, you can say, different functions which I'm going to store, or calculations, whatever you want to call it, to kind of create different charts, right? So for that I would be creating a kind of group or tables where I will be organizing everything, because here if you see the data, all the columns are here, right? So in the measure tables I would be having all the my calculations. So go to here which is called tables, and I can say new table, and it is going to ask me a column informations. For creating any tables you would need at least one column with one or two values. So we will just go ahead and say measures table. So usually I do this practice to ensure all the measures that I create, I store them in kind of in one place, so that it is very easy to identify it here. Now again here you just need to use one simple function which is called generate a series starting from -1 goes up to 1, and the step is going to be 0. So this is one of the practice, you can say, which kind of create a table with one columns. Okay, I mean a table with the temp columns. Okay, so we would just go ahead and say this functions. Okay, next function create tables, empty table basically. Okay, so empty measure table. This is just a command, I'm just writing it here, and I think I need to just give this step as 1. Okay, so yes, because -1 1 and then till 1. Okay, if you see it has given some values which I do not want, I can just hide this. That is totally fine. Okay, but again for now I'm just going to keep it. So let's go to here, and let's first start with our the first dex, right? Whatever we're going to do here, we're going to use something called dex, which is called data analysis expressions, which is same as like functions in excel. Now if you here in excel you want to know how many calls we have, right? So we can use a simple function which is called count a. Okay, or you can just simply use something called distinct count, right? You can use a count a functions on this. Okay, and this is going to tell you how many calls are there. You can say 5,000, right? So this function that I have written, same functions I can write in Power BI, and in Power BI we call it as a dex, right? So you do not have the cell box where you can write functions, so you write as a dex, right? So again, good thing is that in Power BI you can reuse this function for something else as well. Like say if you're selecting something else, if you're selecting the data for maybe filtering the data for some other agents, still you'll be able to reuse the same functions. Okay, so right now whatever the functions we're going to create in this measure table. So first of all, if you see here, I have added all these different KPI. So if you explore this data set, as I have said that earlier, one KPI would be how many total calls we have, right? So this is one of our main KPI, which is going to be how many calls we are having, which is a call volume, right? So let's go ahead and kind of do that first. Let's create a new measure. So how you create a measures, you can simply select here and you can say measures. Okay, this is one of the way, or you can say there are multiple ways as well. So let's click on the measures, and you will be getting a formula box where you can enter your formula, right? So we're going to call it, which is called total calls. Okay, and I'm just going to write some simple command called this functions returns total calls. Okay, now here I'm just going to use a simple functions which is called distinct count. Okay, again you can use any functions to get it. So we will say distinct count, and the table of calls I want to use, which is call id, I think I want to use. Okay, so let's see what we have, which is call id, right? This is the columns I want to use, and I'm just going to call, which is called save. This is going to give me the total calls. Okay, so if you want to verify it, you can simply select this. If you see right now I have total calls, this one I just want to hide, so I would just go to models, and now I can hide this one, which is called values. Okay, cool. So values is hidden, and let's go to here, and we have the total calls right now. You can select the first, which is called the KPI card. This is the KPI card where you can show one informations like total calls, total whatever the KPI you want to show, one information, so we call it KPI card. So you can select it something like this, and you can select the total calls. You can see it is showing as a 5,000. Okay, so this is what we want as our first parameter, but I'm just going to kind of keep it something like this. And see this dot, right? 3 dot, you can just click and kind of drag it anywhere you want, right? So we would want total calls to be somewhere here. Okay, so let's go ahead and put it here. Okay, because we're going to add an icon here on the top. Okay, I think I did not add that icon, so I will be adding an icon here. Okay, so this is fine. Let's kind of make it little small, and let's make it here. Okay, we will do the formatting later on. Right now you have this total call, right? You can see it tells kind of the total calls that you have done, right? So let's go and put it here right now. Okay, let's go ahead and do the next KPI, right? So now we're going to write the dex for this we will come at the end, because this is which is called customer satisfactions. We need to convert it into 0 to 1, so we will come this at the end. Let's first come to this one. Okay, so if you see this icon, it shows the calls that is kind of receiving, or you can put something which is called the calls that is resolved, right? The number of call that is resolved. Okay, now we're going to put something in the percentage. Instead of putting it in a numbers, it is better to show as a percentage, like how many percentage of calls are being resolved, right? So this is what we want to show. If you want to know number of calls, we have seen it is 5,000. So there is a possibility that how many calls that are not resolved, how many calls are resolved, you can identify them using this, right? Calls resolved. If you see, if the total number of calls, which is y, okay, and calls resolved y, call resolved not resolved, right? So we can simply do one thing. Okay, we can check how many y's are there and how many n's are there, right? So let's say if the call is kind of somewhere around, let's say 4,000, and let's say the total call resolve is 4,000 and total call is 5,000, right? So the resolve percentage going to be, which is called 80% here, right? I can just put a percentage sign here, equal sign, and I can simply enter it. You can see it is showing as a 80%, right? So 80% calls are being resolved, right? So something like this type of logic, what you need to write here to get the call percentage that is resolved and call percentage that is not resolved. We will come back to this later on. So let's first go ahead and write it, which is called call resolved. So we will say new measure, and we are going to get the dex again. So here I would say, which is called call resolved percentage. Okay, so let's write down the function that we think that it is going to give us the call resolve percentage. Okay, so I would say again, this is going to be the kind of total call resolved. Okay, total resolved call, you can say total resolved calls, okay, divided by the total calls, right? Divided by the total calls, right? So the total calls and total calls resolved, right? So whatever the total calls we have, we just need to divide by that, and that is how we are going to come up with the total calls that is resolved. Okay, so total calls divided by the total calls. And here one important thing, which is total, not all the calls, but you can say the total calls that is answered. Okay, so total calls that is answered. If the call is not answered, so we are not going to keep it as a resolve or not resolve, because we do not know if those calls are actually with some problems or not, right? So we're only going to compare the total calls that is resolved divided by the total calls answered, right? Let's say if we answer call is like 4,000 and the resolve is like 2,500, that's how we will be getting the percentage. We just need to do multiply with 100 here to get the result, right? This is one way, or we can use a formatting. So I'm just going to use the formatting. I will show you that, right? So this is the logic we need to write here. Now in Power BI, you cannot use a divide. You cannot use a divide like something like this, but there is a functions which is called divide, which we will be using it. So let's go ahead and start writing the functions here. Okay, so I'm just going to write, which is called first let's create some variables where we're going to, because we need to find this total call resolved and total call answered. Now I do not have any measures at the moment, so I would write some variables which is going to give me this total call resolved and total call answered. Then I'm going to reuse those variable inside my functions. Okay, so I would just create a variable using var. Now if you do not know what is variable, in this variable I'm going to store some data which I'll be reusing later on. Okay, so we would say, now if you're using Python SQL, you already know what is variable. It's a very simple concept. So we're going to say, which is called total resolve call, right? Total resolve calls. Okay, now good thing is that here all this variable you can only use inside these functions. This is a local variable, you cannot use this variable in somewhere else. Okay, so here I need to write my functions that is going to give me the total calls. So how do I know the total calls? Again, for this I can use a simple function which is called calculate. Okay, so here we need to use something called countif. Like in Power BI, you do not have a countif functions. We need to count how many y's are there in the resolve. Okay, in the resolve column. So here I'm going to say, which is called calculate. What I want to do, I would say that I want to do, which is called count. You can use a count or count a, that is totally fine here. Okay, I can simply go ahead and say count a because we do have something which is called y no, right? So here we have something called resolve, calls resolve, and I want to give a comma, and I want to say that, which is called close this. Okay, so here I'm giving the expressions. I'm saying, hey, count this call resolve, and what I want to count is kind of the filters, right? So the filter is going to be again, which is called calls table, and which is called call resolve. Okay, and I would say that equals y. Okay, so again, this is one way. Here I can just put the call id, right? Let's say calls of here I can just say count, simply count. Okay, just to keep things simple, I can simply count how many call id are there. Call I think call id what I have, right? So let's go ahead and check call agents call id, right? So we are saying count the call id only for call resolve y. Okay, simple one line code. Okay, so this is going to give us the call resolve count. Okay, now from the variable, if you want to return something, we can use something called return, and then you can write what you want to return. Let's say I want to return this variable. I can just write it here, and I can simply enter it just to show you it is not yet done, but we are going to get how many calls are resolved. Okay, now if I just go ahead and create one more KPI card, which is going to be like maybe this, control C control B, and I can put it here. Okay, to see how many calls, number of calls that is resolved at the moment, just to identify if things are working right or not. So I will just select this. You can see right now this is showing 3646 number of call that is being resolved. Okay, so this is just one of the glimpse how we can kind of find out the number of call that is being resolved. So what I have done is basically I have counted all the y from here. Okay, simple. So let's go back and let's do some modifications in this function. So let's create the functions. Let's click the functions and come here. Now we need to find out which is called total calls, right? Again, for that I'm going to create one more variable, and I'm going to say total calls. Okay, and I'm just going to give the same functions, which is called calculate, count, and we will be putting it here. So I'm saying, okay, count all the call id only for call answered. Okay, y. Okay, so that means I'm saying all the call answered y. Okay, now this is fine. So I have two variables ready which I need to kind of use this in this divide functions, right? So usually in you cannot divide it something like this, because we need to deal with the kind of alternate numbers. So that's the reason we will use something called divide functions here. So we'll say divide. Okay, and it says, it's asking, hey, what do you want to divide? So we want to divide, which is called total, which is called resolve, right? Total resolve call. So here you need to know one thing. Okay, this total resolve call may have something called blanks. Okay, so you can deal with that. If in case the resolve call is a blank, so we can use something called again here, which is called again we can deal with it, but I can just keep it like this way, which is called this. If in case you want to deal with it, you can use one more if logic, but I think I'm just going to use this. It's called resolve calls, and then I'm going to say divided by, which is called total calls. Okay, so now you don't use this divide sign because we are using a divide sign, and it's saying alternate number is going to be 0 if in case something goes wrong, so you have this 0 printed. Now I can just multiply with 100. Okay, so this is going to give me the resolve call percentage. Okay, now I will show you. Okay, if you see here, I will just change it to decimals. Okay, so decimals numbers, and you can see here I have 90%, and I can just go to which is called text and change it to delimiters, which is called 2 decimals point, right? So we have 89.89% call that is resolved at the moment. You can see it here. Okay, so this is how we know, okay, 89% calls are resolved, right? And if you want to know if in case 89% call resolved, you can check it here. So what we have used is kind of the total calls that is received, right? If you want to verify it, if in case we have the here, which is called call resolve and call not resolved. So again, if you want something, I can just show you, which is called count. If just to ensure that if I have which is everything in place, I would just say select this, and what I want to write, what I want to count is kind of y. Okay, 3646. Say I want to count n. Okay, okay, now let's go ahead and find the percentage, which is going to be kind of call resolved. Okay, and divided by obviously the total call. Okay, so the total call is going to be the call that we have answered. So I think I have used earlier, which is called maybe the total calls id, so we need to use the total calls that is answered, right? So for that, what I can do is that I can just use which is called here, which is called count if. Okay, and let's go ahead and use this column, which is called answered, right? Here to here, what we're looking for is the y. Okay, so you can see it is showing as 89%, so what we are getting is kind of correct. Okay, so let's go, and this is fine. We have the call resolve percentage, which is 89%. Let's go ahead and check a call abandoned, right? So which are the percentage of call that is being cancelled, right? So this is a call resolve percentage. Now we would want the call abandoned, the percentage of call that is being cancelled. Okay, so again, it's pretty much same logic, we're going to use it here. So let's go and let's kind of use these functions. Okay, I'm just going to say control C. Okay, and I'm just going to reuse these functions. Let's click outside, right click and say new measures. Okay, so again we will do the formatting in some time. I'm just going to paste it here, and I'm saying call event done. Okay, call abandon percentage. Okay, so that means how many call percentage are being cancelled, right? So cancel means the call which are not picked. Okay, so for that again we would need something else here. Okay, we would need here which is called the total calls. Okay, to find out the calls that is being which is called the abandon percentage, we would need to find out the total calls, which is the total calls count, right? That is coming, right? So for that I would simply need which is called total calls. Okay, now I think we do have the total calls. I can directly use that, which is going to be fine, right? Because we have the total calls, right? Then we would need something called total calls that is cancelled, which is not answer, right? So we would need a calculate, which is called calls id, calls answered. Here I need no. Okay, so the calls that is not answered, it is showing as a no. Okay, and I do have the total calls already ready, which is this one, and I can use that here. Okay, so earlier why I have not used in the result that total calls, because that total calls is the calls, some of the calls which are not picked, so we did not include that in the projects. So I think when I created the initial projects, I included the total this calls. Okay, so I think it is going to be better to only include the calls which are being answered, and from that answered call we need to find out this call resolutions which we have done earlier, which is I think better. So that's the reason we will proceed with this approach here. So again, it is totally fine when you build the projects. It's okay, you may have some improvement when you will be analyzing it further. So this is how we do the improvement, right? So we have the total calls here. So this is called the total calls which is not answers, right? Or you can say abandoned, right? So total calls total calls, we can say not answered, right? Total calls not answered, right? This is the name I have given. Now I can maybe give any short name, not picked call or anything else, right? So I can say, let's just say uh, call not answered, right? Keep it short, right? Call not answered. So this is a variable name. Okay, so we have the call not answered. Now here what I want to do is that I would want to kind of uh, call not answered, which is this one I have just written, which is call not answered. Okay, I'm going to use this call not answered, and I'm going to say divided by the total calls. Okay, now I want to access the total calls, which is a measure, so I don't have to write the table name. I can simply write this square brackets, and that's going to get this, which is called this total calls. So I would say, which is called here comma, and alternate is going to be 0 and divided by 100. So we will do the formatting later on. So we do have the call abandoned percentage. The format is going to be, which is called the decimal here. Let's check as a decimal. Okay, so I'm just going to change it to decimals too. Okay, so I think everything is perfectly fine. Let's go ahead and just duplicate it, control C control B here. Okay, and we're going to just select call abandoned percentage. Okay, so this is fine. Now let's go ahead and check the another two, which is called the speed of answers, which is going to be the average time of picking the call. So this is what we want, control C control B. Let's put it here, and this is a simple function that we're going to use. Right click, measures, new measures, and we are going to say speed of answers. Okay, so we will say speed of answer. Okay, speed of answer, you can just say speed of call answers, or again, you don't have to include the call. I think speed of answer would make more sense. Speed of answers or speed of call, pick whatever you want to call it. I think this name make more sense, and I'm just going to use a simple average function. So I would simply say average. Okay, and I would say calls of which is called speed of call answers in seconds. Okay, so we have the data in seconds, so we will just go ahead and save it, right? So we do have speed of call answers. I can just select it, and if you see, this is the average speed of call answers which is showing here. Okay, now let's go ahead and do one more KPI, which is going to be here. That's going to be, which is called average call handling time. Now this is also one of the really important metrics, and that is going to be like, what is the average handling time for each agents, right? So let's say here the agent is spent kind of, you can say average talk time. So here agent spent kind of 143 seconds, 242 seconds, 133 seconds, right? So again, we need to find out the average of his call handling time, right? So for that, we would just again use the same, which is called the average. Let's go ahead and say new measures, and we can name it called average call handling time. So we will say average call handling time. Okay, so we so call it AHT. Okay, short form. We can say average functions calls of, which is called this one, talk durations, right? We have named it as a talk durations, and this is going to give us the talk durations, and the measure is already created. So let's select this, which is called talk durations. Okay, so it is showing as a 182.30 which is called 7, right? Now here one of the important things, I think, speed of answers and average talk durations, here we need to consider dealing with a null. So I think we can do it manually, because if in case you want to ignore the null, so we can kind of check, okay, if this is the average call durations or not. Okay, so let's go ahead and just ensure that we are kind of on the right track. Okay, so here if in case the call is not answers, so I think there is creating issues here, so we can deal with it. Okay, So what we do is that we would need to find out what is the total number of calls which is answered, and then we are going to divide which is called the total calls divided by the total call answered, right? That's how we would find out the exact durations. So I think that is going to be better instead of just putting it like this way. So in this speed of answers also and in here also we would need to use the average in that way. So let's go ahead and kind of use it that way. So I think I have not used this way, but I will show you what I'm talking about, right? So here we need to find out what is the total call that is kind of answered. Okay, so I think it is going to be better if we create a new measures by which is called total call that is answered, right? So that is going to be perfect because we need to reuse that multiple times. So I would say total call answered, and we're going to use a simple calculate which is called calculate count of calls id. Okay, count of calls id, and I'm just going to say which is called filter. So filter is going to be calls of answer, right? We just want to count how many y, right? That's it. So we do have a total call that is answered, and we also can create something called total call that is not answered. So I think this is fine. I can reuse this which is called call total call that is answered, right? Now what I want here, instead of just getting the average something like this, we would use the approach like that. Okay, so I would simply go ahead and use a divide functions here. Okay, instead of finding the average handling time, so we need to find out how many calls he has answered and then each calls and their durations, right? So total durations, so basically it's going to be total call durations divided by total call answer, right, by each agent. So this is what we need to deal with, right? So what I can do here is very simple. I can simply go ahead and instead of using the average like this, as we already have a total call durations, I mean we do not have the total call durations, we need to create a variable. We do have a total call answer which we will be using this which is called total call answered, and for that we're just going to first create a variable which is going to give us the total call durations, right? So that's going to be total call durations, and I'm just going to use which is called sum, simple sum, and on which is called calls of call talk durations, right? So this is going to give us the total call durations, and we're going to say return because from this variable we want to return which is called this, right? So we will use divide here. Oops, divide, and what I want to divide is kind of the total call durations, okay, which I have just created the variable which is going to be total call durations, and I want to divide it by the total call answered which is our this measures. Okay, and I would say alternate as kind of 0. Okay, so this is going to give me the average which is the seconds. Okay, and of average call handling time in seconds. Okay, so I would just change this parameters again to kind of decimals. Okay, so I think by default it is showing as the decimals already, so this time it is showing perfect. Okay, now for the same thing we can also do this speed of answers to ensure that we are using the correct approach. So I think which I have not used earlier, so again I will implement this time. So we'll go to speed of answers, and I would be using the same approach here. So here I will just copy paste that which is called this this one. Okay, call handling time, let's kind of control C and go to which is called this one, speed of answers, and here we would also use the same approach. Okay, so speed of answers, and I would say speed of answers name remains same, and this is going to be total call durations. Instead of total call durations I would say total speed durations, right? Total call speed, right? Call peak durations or call peak speed, call peak speed durations divided by the total call that is answered, right? So here if you want to know more, okay, let me just show you. Okay, if you go to excels, you would see that for some of the calls which is this speed, right, some of the calls we do not have anything, right? So we cannot include this, right? So we can simply go ahead and just include this numbers. Okay, so I think we do have blank, so blank is going to be ignored, but in case if you want to use it, you can use it, you will be still getting the same results. Yeah, so what we are doing is that we are going to count, we're going to sum all these numbers. So sum of these numbers which is from here to here. Okay, and it's not from here to here, here to here, so till last. Okay, and then which is going to be 5001. Then we're dividing by again, which is called the count of here 5001. Okay, so 67.5 what we are having, so I'll just keep it as empty because we do not have the zero here. Like here we have zero, here we do not have the zero, that's the reason. But again, I would just implement it if in case we have tomorrow there is no zero, so we will be in troubles, right? So let's use the best practice. So here I need to find out the total call durations for speed, right? Call durations, call speed. Okay, total call speed durations. Okay, total call speed durations, like the peak speed durations, and we would just need to use that which is called, let's go ahead and use that which is called speed, right? Cool, and I will just use this name, control C, control P, and we are going to divide it by the total call that is answers. So keeping zero, everything remains same. Now again, initially you need to spend some time to kind of identify and writing this and text. Okay, so it takes some time, and again, this is a very simple logic you are using here. I would request you to use Excel as many as possible times to build the logic, then implement the same logic using DEX. Okay, this is what approach I do again. So you can do the same thing. So here let's quickly check if in case this is correct. Okay, so we are saying total resolve call, which is here. Okay, so total resolve call we are getting. So count calls, call ID, because it's a number data, so we are using count, and filtering by calls resolve y, this is correct. This is going to give us the total resolve call. Okay, and we are getting total calls, which is going to be calculate count, call ID, call answered, and yes, this is going to tell us the total call that is answered, right? And this is the call that is kind of resolved. Okay, so this is how we are getting these numbers. Earlier I have used the total calls. Now I think I will go back to the total calls again. That is completely on you. If you want to use the total calls, you can use the total calls, because the calls which you have not received, those calls are also kind of not resolved, right? You can keep it if in case that created tickets, but I think I will keep it this way. This looks much better. Okay, and again, this is going to give you better percentage in the resolve percentage. Okay, cool. So this is fine. I think everything is done. We would just need to do some more formatting. Okay, we will do the formatting in some time. Let's first go ahead and get which is called the customer satisfactions. Now this is a little difference than the normal which is called text that we have created, right? So here what you need to find out, and this satisfactions rate, if you see, we do have a 3, 2, and which is called 1, and I guess a 5, right? We also have some blanks. We need to deal with this. So we can simply convert, if in case we need to convert into 100%. Okay, so we can convert this into 100% satisfactions. So we just need to convert this into a scale of 0 and 1, and then we can multiply with 100. Okay, so for that, what I need to do is that we need to find out the total satisfactions rate here. So we can simply go ahead and say sum of this to kind of 5 J5001. Okay, and this is going to give us the total sum, which is the total satisfactions rating. Okay, now this is a total satisfactions rating. We are going to kind of divide it by 5. Okay, because we have 5 types of different ratings. Okay, and let's see if in case if you see, we are having 2759. Okay, so right now what you need to do, along with this 5, I need to multiply the number of rating we have. Okay, so further I can use a count. Okay, and count of j2 dot j5001. Okay, so I will just need to put this in a new brackets. Okay, oops, so this I need to delete. So this is telling the satisfactions rating in percentage. Right now if you see, this is the customer satisfactions. Now what we have done here is that we have converted this each rating into a percentage between 0 and 1. Okay, so if you see this 3, this 3 is going to be how much, right? Out of 100%, if you convert it into 100%, this is going to be kind of 60%, right? This is going to be again 60%, 4 is going to be 80%, and 5 is going to be 100%, because the 5 is the maximum one, right? So it's going to be 100%. Okay, it's going to be kind of 40%, right? It is going to be 80%, right? It is going to be 60%. Okay, so this is what we have done using this simple approach. What I have done is that we first check what is the total rating we have, then we are dividing by the scale, which is 1 to 5, and multiply with the number of rating we have. Okay, this is the functions we need to write to get CSAT, which is called customer satisfaction rating. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's see how we can get it. So we will say measures, and we will say new measures, and we are going to use it here, which is called CSAT. Okay, customer satisfactions rating, something like whatever the full form is. So we will go ahead and first of all write down the function that we can use it. So we need to find out first of all, which is called total ratings. What we need to find out, okay, divided by, which is called total number of rating we have. Okay, and we would simply multiply with the 5. Okay, this is what is going to convert this total rating into 0 and 1. Then we can multiply with 100 again. Okay, so this is what we will be doing. So perfect, let's kind of go ahead and build this logic. So we need to find out the total rating. We do not have any measures that tells us the total rating. So what I will do is that we will be writing simple, which is going to give us the total rating. So simple sum into a variable, because we're going to store it. So we're going to say total ratings, and we're going to use a sum on one columns, which is called calls of satisfaction rating. Okay, and total rating is done. Now we need to find out the total number of rating, like how many people has given a rating, right? So we will say here called number of ratings. Okay, and we're going to again use not sum, but this time as a count. Okay, count of, which is called this satisfaction rating, and we have the total number of rating. Right now what I need to do is that return from this variable, we will write our logic, right? So we're going to just divide it, okay, by this, which is called total ratings. Okay, that we have created, which is earlier the variable total ratings, and we're going to divide it by the number of ratings that we have got, which is called number of ratings. Okay, multiply with the, which is 5. Okay, and alternate is going to be 0 obviously, and we can just say multiply with 100. Okay, so same functions what we have written here, and we can just say save. So this is going to give us the CSAT. Okay, let's go ahead and let's verify it. Okay, we can just click one more KPI, Control C Control B, and let's drag it here. We'll do the formatting in just some time, and let's select the CSAT. Okay, it's showing as a 68.07. if you check, we got something like the same, which is here, right? I think this is the one, 68.07, right? So this is showing the perfect which you have created, right? So all the measures are done. Right now we will go ahead and kind of start doing the formatting, and then we will be creating some charts. Okay, so this is the measures that we had to write. Now we will be doing kind of some of the charts, and then we're going to do the formatting at the end. Okay, so let's go ahead and create the charts. So one chart I want here, which is called matrix. So in matrix you can show one which is called the category, and then you can show all the different measures. Like for us it is the important, because we're doing an agent analysis, right? So for each agents we want to show all these different parameters, how things are going, right? So we can show that using a matrix. So we can put the matrix here. So let's first go ahead and select the matrix, click outside and select the matrix, which is this one, and we're going to select it, put it here somewhere. Okay, and let's organize it till here. Cool, and let's select the category, which is going to be calls of agents. So for each agents we would want to select the different metrics. So the first one, we would be selecting how many calls this agent has received. We're going to say total calls, and then the second one is going to be the call abandoned percentage, how many call he has disconnected or has not received. So call abandoned percentage which you have. Then we would want to see speed of call answers, right? How things are going, how fast he is picking the call. So we're going to use that measures is called speed of calls answers in seconds. Okay, and then we're going to select which is called call resolve percentage, and we're going to select which is called C set, which is our last measures that we want to show. Okay, so this perfectly shows whatever is going on for each agent. So you can see very easily this agent has picked 631 call, and this is the call abandoned percentage, this is the speed of answers, this is the result percentage. And if you want to see the highest result percentage, I think that is this one, which is Greg. And if you see the Greg has 624 calls, the call number is 624, even lesser than this. But if you see the call abandon is less, 19%, and the speed of answer 68, resolve 90%, and C set is 68.9. So highest C set, if you want to see, that is going to be 69.42. I think this is the one. Okay, perfect. So this is done. We will do the formatting later on. Let's go ahead and do our next chart, which is going to be little different. Okay, so here we would want to use a line area chart, and that is going to show us the different number of calls that we are receiving in different times. Okay, by the hour. Okay, because as a call center, they need to know when they're receiving more calls. Okay, so that is how they can plan their stuff accordingly, right? So very important parameters. So we are going to just select a simple, which is called a line chart, this one, a simple line chart here, and I'm just going to drag it and put it here somewhere. Okay, so cool. Right now we do not have a column that tells the hour. Okay, so we would need to create a column that is going to give us the information something like hour. Okay, then we can check then we can show each hours and the number of call that is receiving, right? So for that, what we can do is that we can go back to which is our tables. We can do it here, or we can do in the Power Query. Okay, so I will be showing you how to create a new columns here. Okay, so we're going to create a multiple columns from this time that you see. We do have a time columns. From the time, I can extract the hour. Okay, so for that, what I just need to do is that I will be simply going ahead and using some simple logic to extract the hours. So we'll go ahead and select this and say new columns. Okay, and I'm just going to name it call, which is called hour. Okay, so let's say I want to name it called hour column. And what I want is from this column, which is called calls of times. Okay, calls of time, and I will be doing a format. Okay, so I would say format this calls of time, and I want to format in this format, which is called HH. Okay, that's going to give me the hour, and I'm going to use a concat functions. Okay, and this concat is going to help me concat with a text, because I want in this format, which is going to be HH, and the minute and the second as a 0. Okay, so I would be using something called this sign 00. Okay, oops, 00. So we do not have any functions like that, but I will be creating my own functions. I'm just extracting the hour from this. It's a 10 o'clock, so it's a 12 o'clock, it's a 5 o'clock PM, so it's going to be 17 o'clock. Okay, so let me show you. So you will see right now I have everything proper formatted, 17 o'clock, right? So everything is perfectly fine. So this is the columns I want to use. Okay, so in different categories, so I kind of created a category and how many calls we are receiving, right? The call number of volumes, right? So we will be selecting the category as the hour, which I have just created, and I'm going to select the total number of calls. Okay, so this is including the calls received, this is including the call that is not received. Okay, cool. So we do have, which is starting from here to here. Okay, and let's go ahead and select it, right? So if you see, we have 1 p.m, 11 p.m, so kind of different numbers, 10 p.m. Okay, so we have this line chart. Now we will be doing some changes here. So let's first go ahead and select the formatting and select this y-axis. I do not need the title. Okay, and I do not need the values. I think I do need the values, but I do not need the x-axis title. So let's unselect it, and I need the y-axis as a line shaded, something like this. Okay, and I need marker, so let's go to marker and show the markers, going to be all. Change it to 3 pixel, and this line I want to change. Okay, so let's go to line here. Again, you can do a lot of formatting here. I just don't want that line to be that bold. Maybe change it to 2 pixels. Okay, so 2 pixel looks perfect. And this colors that you see, line colors, it's kind of too much darker. I want to just change it maybe little bit lighter. Okay, so this looks perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead and use it here. Okay, control C, control P. Okay, because we need two. So this is going to be call by hours, and we're going to say call by day. Okay, now here we're going to use the day name that we have created. Here we have something called tooltip. We can turn it off. So go to settings, turn it off tooltip, go to settings, turn it off tooltip. Okay, so here we would want to select, instead of hour, we would want to select the day. Okay, so the day name we have created earlier, so I think we have not created a day name columns. Let's go to tables and create a new columns by the call day name. Okay, using this date columns. So you can go to new columns, and you can just name it call day name. Okay, so we're going to say day name, and we're going to use the same function, which is called format, and we're going to say calls table of date. Okay, here I need to select the date, and date I'm formatting into d. Okay, this is going to create a short day name into proper case. Okay, and I will say okay. Now we will be selecting this in the chart. Okay, so let's select this, and instead of this I'm going to select the d name. Okay, so that's going to be day name. Okay, we have the day name Monday, Saturday. So right now if you see, it's Monday, Saturday, Sunday, it's again not ordered properly, so we're going to do the ordering in some time. Okay, now let's go ahead and create something which is really interesting, that is called satisfactions label. Okay, so right now we do have a satisfactions level which is 1 to 5. Okay, we want to give a different satisfactions to different names. Okay, so what I want to do is that I want to create a bar chart. Okay, simple bar chart, like the simple bar chart, not the clustered one, but maybe, yeah, simple clustered one, not the stack one. Okay, so let's select this here, and I want to use which is called the rating, just to show you for now. Okay, let's go ahead and use rating, which is we do have the customer rating, and we're going to select the call. You know what we want to select is the number of calls. Okay, so total calls. Right now we don't see like properly. The reason is that this rating that you see, it is a kind of a numbers. Okay, that is the reason it is putting this rating into y. We need to put it into x. Okay, and right now if you see, because right now it is considering as a category. Okay, earlier it was considering as a continuous number, so we would just go ahead and do some adjustment here. Okay, so we do have the things ready. Right now we just need to do a little bit of formatting here. Okay, so what I want to change it is very simple. I would want to name this different ratings to different names. Okay, now for that I'm going to use a simple if else logic, which you call switch in Power BI. Okay, and this colors that you see, we will also change this colors into the kind of like this. Again, we would just go ahead and turn off the tooltip here. I do not want. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to tables and create a new columns using switch based on different ratings. Okay, so let's click, this is the satisfactions rating. Let's organize it descending. Okay, now we will be creating different satisfactions rating. So first let's go ahead and select the satisfactions rating, and we're going to create a new columns which is called new columns. So we are going to use which is called satisfactions labels. Okay, so this is the column name I'm giving. Now this is going to be a little different, so if you have not used switch, you're going to know how to use switch. Okay, so first you need to give the expressions like what you want to measure. So, okay, so we want to measure something called true, so it's going to be true or false. Okay, so true, what you want to check, and what you want to check is that if in case this row has a, see the when we create a column, every row by row it works, right? We want to check if in case this rating is empty, then we would want to put it which is called not served. Okay, we're going to create some category instead of 1 to 5, right? So we will just go ahead and say that calls tables, and calls tables of which is called rating. Okay, satisfactions rating, if this is a nulls, then we are going to put which is called not served. Okay, not served, basically we have not served this customers. Okay, because that's how we will not ignore the blanks. Okay, now how do you know is null, right? So we can use something called is blank. Is blank what we have in Power BI. So is blank, then not served. Okay, then we're going to say comma, then we want to check something else which is going to be same columns, which is going to be this. We will put it here and we will say equals to 1. Okay, if it is 1, and I would say that not very satisfied, right? So we will say if it is 1, let's copy tilt here to here because we will be reusing it, and I'm going to use comma. See, first you give the value what you want to check, and then results if in case that is true. So we are checking if this cell has 1, then we would put something called not satisfied or very dissatisfied, something like it. Okay, very dissatisfied. Okay, very dissatisfied, this is what I want to call it. And next one I would call it which is called dissatisfied. Okay, the rating 2, still not happy, but we will say dissatisfied. Okay, and for the rating 3 we would say normal. Okay, so we can call it something called normal. Okay, so we would say normal, so this customer is not happy, not sad, right? 3. So the 4 one is kind of, I would say, happy. Okay, or satisfied you can say. Then we have the 5 which is super satisfied, right? So again we would be using 5, that is going to be very satisfied. Okay, so let's copy it, put it here. So these are the only conditions we want to check using this case. And if you see, it is going to create this new columns, and it's going to put this different satisfactions label. So let's quickly check. Okay, here I need to use it as a 5. Okay, so right now if you see, it has created a different satisfactions label. So 5 is very satisfied. If you want to change it to kind of which is called ascending, you will see not served, right? Because it's a blank. So when if you change it to kind of, maybe you will go to kind of 1 or 2, you will see 3 normal, right? So different category we have created. Now we would want to create this line chart for that category. So we are going to select that, and instead of this satisfactions rating, we are going to select that satisfactions labels. Okay, so if you see, it looks much better right now. Okay, we're going to just do one little bit of formatting here. So when this is not very satisfied, we want light colors. When it is very satisfied, when we want darker red. Okay, so we would achieve that using conditional formatting. I think pretty much everything that we need is kind of ready. Now we will be doing a formatting, and we're going to add the different slices that we need. Okay, so let's start with the formatting. Okay, let's go ahead and select this. So here I just need to do some of the things. It's kind of going behind, so let's click and put it above. Okay, so let's go to selections, and let's find out which is this KPI card. Okay, so here you have all the, okay, this is fine, this is fine, this is fine. Okay, this is fine. Okay, where that is gone, right? So let's kind of get it back, Control Z. So I think I kind of deleted it. Hmm, let's put it back. Okay, so we have it here right now. So this is, let's see if I can see it. Okay, let's create it again. Let's delete it. Okay, click outside, create a new column line chart, which is called simple clustered columns. Okay, which is here, you can see right now. And we're going to just select which is called satisfactions label, and we're going to select the total calls. Okay, cool. So perfectly fine, and we are going to just drag it like this way and increase it like this. Okay, we will be doing the formatting in some time. Now what I want is this color to be changed, right? So this is what I want. So I will be going to settings, and if you see, this is the data labels. First let's go ahead and add a data labels here, that is inside. So we're going to just say data label inside end. Okay, I think the format looks fine, so you can just change it to Sugo and bold. Okay, and we do not need this then, right? So we can just do some formatting here. Okay, again we will come back to the formatting. I just wanted to show you we would want to kind of change this colors to light to dark. Okay, so for that what we will be doing is that we are going to go to this lines colors. Okay, so bar colors basically. So let's go to which is called x-axis. Let's hide this title. Okay, this is this title, you can see. And let's go to y-axis and also hide this titles, and also hide this values, because we have added the labels. We do not need the values right now outside. Okay, cool. And next what I want to, grid lines we do not need, data labels we have given. Next we would just want to change the colors for this bar. Okay, so let's go to this colors of the bar. Okay, so it is selected. Let's check the columns. Here is the colors, right? So for this colors we would use this fx, right? So here we are going to use some conditional formatting. Now this conditional formatting we are going to use the first satisfactions label, or we can use this as instead of rules we would say gradient, and change it to satisfactions rating. Okay, so satisfactions rating, and lowest is kind of, I would say, something like this, and highest is going to be darker red, right? Something like this. Okay, we can use really dark, right? Or we can use up to our darker red. Okay, now this is fine. How would you format empty as 0? So lowest is going to be 0. Okay, and this is fine. We will say okay. So right now if you see, this is looking much better, but we do not need that heading what you have right now. Again we are going to do the formatting, so we do not need the legends. Everything is fine. Okay, now we would want this to from which is called not very satisfied, then very satisfied, and not very satisfied, I mean very dissatisfied, then dissatisfied. Okay, very dissatisfied, then we have, where is it, dissatisfied. So, very dissatisfied, very satisfied. I think I did not mention the dissatisfied, which is for 2. Let's go to and check the case, right? So let's go here and check the second one, which is called dissatisfied. Okay, for 2 I would want to name it called dissatisfied, right? Cool, so we have a dissatisfied here. So we would want from very dissatisfied to then satisfied, then so on, right? So let's proceed and